What's going on, everybody? This is your former AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Once a champion, always a champion. Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Swerve's house. You're watching Tru Heel Heat Podcast.
This is Heavyweight Hustle, Calvin Tankman. Tune in to Tru Heel Heat Podcast. You won't be disappointed.
I legitimately just realized that we still had that intro, but we need an updated version of it. Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3, and we are back once again with another edition of Tru Heel Heat Check. This time, we are talking all about the NBA Cup, and my esteemed colleague here is very happy. He is overjoyed with the fact that the New York Knicks are your NBA Cup champions. Yes, indeed. What a win by the New York Knicks. So welcome everyone for joining us. That is my co-host, the resident Tru Heel marijuana enthusiast himself, the pot heel, and the number one Knicks fan, Chris G. How are you feeling today?
I feel like it's Christmas and we still have 8 more days before the motherfucker even comes around. We have been gifted early. I mean, honestly, it was the first time I've seen the Knicks win anything in my life. So it's like, it still doesn't feel real. I think I'm still in shock.
You're going to actually, the Knicks are actually going to raise a banner this year. Look at that.
Well, great. They actually refused it. They said they don't want to raise the banner because they want to go for the real one, which I respect even more.
I respect it. I don't see it happening.
I like the confidence, though. I like the confidence. And, this is a good confidence and momentum boost, going into the middle portion of the season. So love to see it. Love to see it for sure.
So, yes, we appreciate y'all for joining us. If you're watching us for the premiere, if you're watching us on demand, we appreciate you as well. Show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. Drop a thumbs up on the video. You can share this video with all of your NBA fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the Tru Heel Heat Sports and Entertainment YouTube channel, you can hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. We got reviews of TV shows, talking about football, basketball, and everything in between here on the channel. So appreciate y'all if you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, you can sound off in the live chat if you're watching us on the premiere. And if you're with us on demand, comment down below. Let us know what you thought about the NBA Cup Finals, as well as what you think about the Knicks' prospects of becoming NBA champions this year. But I gotta just say, we're gonna start off talking about the NBA Cup. This has been like one of the best additions to the NBA season, in my opinion. I know that it took a couple of like growing pains. Like the first year, people didn't really know how to react to it. I remember the Lakers won, and we were getting made fun of for putting up the banner and stuff like that. And I think the Bucks won it last year, and they had a good effort. But I think this year's NBA Cup kind of erased a lot of questions that people had about it. This felt like a kind of like a Final Four, like an NCAA tournament at times, and it gave us the best game of the entire season so far, which was the San Antonio Spurs versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, where the Oklahoma City Thunder suffered only their second loss of the season. And the Spurs kind of gave the whole NBA landscape a game plan, a template to follow to somehow, some way be able to beat the Thunder. And still, with them giving us a game plan, they only won by 2 points. So it's not really that surefire if you really think about it. But what did you think about that San Antonio and Thunder game, and overall the feeling of the NBA Cup? I think there's still a number of tweaks that they need to make, but I like the tweaks that they did make this season, like adding the cup to the floor for everybody playing. I know that Adam Silver has already said that for the semifinals, whoever is the higher seed, that's going to be a home game for them, and they're only going to do the finals in Las Vegas. I thought like the Las Vegas setting, it was all right for the finals, but I didn't like it for the semifinals personally. I thought that they should have done those at home. So I like that they're going to do that as an improvement for next year. But just your overall thoughts on the NBA Cup before we get into your team winning the whole entire cup. What did you think about the cup, and specifically the Thunder Spurs game?
Well, I think the first year was like experimental, right? They were just kind of gauging the interest on not only the fans but like the players. You know, how are the players going to react to this? This is something they're interested in. Are they actually going to like play hard? You know, things like that. I think last year when they put an emphasis on the money going to the guys at the end of the bench, right? Like how this could really impact people's lives who wouldn't necessarily see this type of money, like unless, you know, it's in the long term and stuff like that. And the effort that the stars, you know, like credit to guys like Giannis who won it last year, right? The Bucks won it last year. Like that guy played his heart out for the whole cup because sure, you know, he got pride and he wants to win something in the season too. But and when you asked him, or when they asked him about it at the end of the season, he was like, it's not even only about me. It's about the guys at the end of the bench that could really use the money. Like we do it for them at the end of the day. And that became even more apparent this year when you look at, you know, the Final Four specifically, right? When it felt like the tournament was like really starting to get amped up. A lot of the focus was on how the money could change the lives of the guys at the end of the bench that are, you know, two-way contracts, guys that are playing on minimum contracts, you know, stuff like that. So the competition was really solid, I think, throughout the whole cup. The semifinals was great. That OKC Spurs game was amazing. And we got to remember, they weren't even Wemby's still like kind of getting his minutes and his conditioning and stuff back in. So they did show us the blueprint on how to beat OKC, and you basically have to outrun them. You have to outrun them, and
not only that, you got to play them full court. You got to full court press them, because that's what they were doing with Shea with all those guards.
Yeah, which the Spurs, I mean, they have they like the third youngest team in the league. So I mean, they have a bunch of athletic, fast wings that are big, like 6'5" and up, you know, that can, you know, compete and run with guys on the Thunder. So I thought the cup in total was a success. I think next year it's going to be even more hyped. I like the fact that they're going to keep the Vegas game special to only the finals. Makes the finals feel a little bit more big time, you know. That is until they bring in a team from Vegas, maybe eventually, which they will have their own team maybe by next year. So we'll see what happens. But the New York Knicks, we said it. We had a group chat, SP3. We had a group chat, and me, you, and Drunk Guy were talking about it. And we said, you were confident the Thunder were going to make it. And we said, that's if they beat the Spurs. And it happened. And now here we are. The Knicks were somehow able to win the cup, escaping defeat from the OKC Thunder.
He's like the best way to beat the Thunder is to not
play them. Yes, is to not play them. That's the best way to beat the OKC Thunder. I'm praying somebody like Fluke eliminates them in the playoffs, because then our fucking path is almost there, right? You know, at this point. But yeah, shout out to Brunson. He was the MVP of the cup. Played amazing. Averaged 30, 35 a game. Had that 40-point performance. Shout out to OG, because OG played really good yesterday. He hit the big threes when they needed.
Only other Knick to receive a vote for MVP.
Oh yeah, well deserved, because not only was he guarding the other best players, he was guarding Wemby. When him and Cat were on the court together, he was guarding Wemby. That's how valuable OG is to the Knicks. So I would have loved to see him win MVP as well. I wish there was a co-MVP, but Jalen Brunson definitely deserved it as well. And shout out to guys like Tyler Kolek, Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. Those are the hungriest guys on the court, the guys that aren't making that much money, and they really want to, it's not only about the money, it's the pride, right? And that sense of accomplishment, even if it is during the season. So shout out to the Knicks, man. We're a fucking starved franchise and fan base, and I feel like we deserve this one, and we should all embrace it. And we'll take it from here. We'll see where this leads us into the rest of the season.
So the Knicks have won 6 straight. They've won the NBA Cup. A lot of people are giving a bunch of credit to Mike Brown, who was done dirty by those Sacramento Kings and then gets this job with the Knicks. And a lot of people, even the New York Knicks fans, were it was kind of a polarizing reaction to his hiring, where some people were optimistic that he would help their offense get some type of different flow, but then a lot of other people were just like, this is a downgrade defensively as a coach to Tom Thibodeau. But I think that it's been a success. I was one person who was quite negative about that hiring and thought it was a stupid hiring, when I thought the Knicks were primarily already a really good offensive team, but they've become a great offensive team, and they have the motion offense really going for them, and it's working for them. They have the ISO plays, they get open shooters. Then it feels at this point, despite not being number one in the Eastern Conference, because the Detroit Pistons are number one and they're so young and they still feel like 1 or 2 years away, it really feels, coming off this cup win, that the Knicks are the favorite to win the Eastern Conference.
I mean, it's going to be tough because there's going to be scrappy teams in the East that you got to go through, including the Pistons, right? The Pistons are still in that first seed. We've seen them last year. They gave us trouble. So you're never going to count. I'm not going to count them out. I'm not going to count out the Cavs or any of those top tier East teams. But, it does give us a little hope, and definitely, this, you could ride this momentum for the rest of the season. The key is staying healthy, staying efficient. The Knicks defensively did not take any downturn. They still have the same defensive efficiency rating as last year, maybe even slightly better. And then this year they're a higher scoring team in the league. The starting five efficiency as a whole has went up fucking percentages because they're moving the ball. They're not just relying on Jalen ISO. They're doing all the right things. So Mike Brown, I had the first 7-8 games, I was a little iffy. Once he finally got that rotation, and then putting Josh Hart back in the starting lineup and just having him help be a little facilitator besides Jalen Brunson, opens the floor for the rest of the starting lineup. So you got guys like OG, Macau, Cat, they're all doing what they got to do. Sky's the limit.
My 2 things that I will say that the Knicks need to improve on or should be mindful of. One, yes, you were right that the Knicks are probably at the same defensive efficiency rating as last year. This year, watching them live, they're a fucking awful defensive team. I literally were watching them at Madison Square Garden against the Orlando Magic, and my nephew visibly saw me getting upset because the Orlando Magic were able to get to the rim every play to start off the third quarter and didn't score. And I was like, they're allowing you to get to the rim. Why the fuck can't you finish? They're giving you wide open shots. Why the fuck can't you finish? I literally at the end of the third quarter, I was like, I told my nephew, I was like, we can get on the court and we could probably score more than Orlando Magic, because the Knicks will allow us to get to the rim. They'll allow us to get open shots because they're not a good defensive team. That's what I think. They need to improve defensively, especially when it comes to the half-court defense, and especially when it comes to crunch time. They're going to need that in the playoffs, getting those stops at the right time. And they have been doing it in a couple of games, but they need to do it more consistently. And then the fact that the Cavs have not played well this year is mainly why I would say the Knicks are the favorite to win the East. However, the fact that the Cavs have not played well could potentially mean y'all facing the Cavs in the first round, which is the worst possible matchup for y'all in the first round.
It's true. That is true. We've had the Cavs number in the past, so it's it's still majority of the people, if you ask, it's the Cavs, and everybody's like, well, they still got to prove something because they fucking haven't proved anything, even as talented as that core and how deep the team is. I don't know if there's something going on where it's just like they might not even get it together to get to that elite point like they were. But if they get hot, the last 15, 20 games of the season and they're rolling into the playoffs, that's when you got to worry about them.
That's what I suspect with the Cavs is that they're gonna get better to probably the second half of the season because Donovan Mitchell's having an amazing season, and you would think that Evan Mobley is not gonna play this bad or this mediocre the way he's played to start off the season. So I think they'll get better. They'll probably wind up a 5 or 6 seed, which would be better for the Knicks as far as facing any other team. I'm confident any other team outside of, I think the two teams that will give y'all issues in the Eastern Conference is the Pistons, is the Cavs, and the Boston Celtics. I think the Boston Celtics is right now the most underrated team in the NBA because people think, oh, they're not going to do anything with Tatum, and they're in the top half of the Eastern Conference. Jaylen Brown is playing like a top 10 player, and there's a chance Tatum can be back by March or April, and that is nothing nobody wants to see. They don't want to see Boston Celtics with home court advantage going into a playoff series, and then Jason Tatum is coming back as well. That would be the worst news for every other Eastern Conference team.
Yeah, it remains to be seen. I expect them to come back in the playoffs, but then again, coming off those Achilles injuries, it still takes a little time to get back to yourself, and you get the minutes restriction. So Celtics are always going to be one of those teams you got to keep an eye on, but the way the Knicks play, the Knicks are just playing at such a high level. The confidence is high. It really depends on who we're going up against. And one more thing about the Cavs, the injuries been fucking with them because Evan Mobley's hurt now. Jared Allen was hurt at one point. Darius Garland didn't play the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. Donovan Mitchell, guys like I think Dean Wade is still on the team, but he got hurt. The guys that they need on the court haven't been on the court at the same time. DeAndre Hunter might have even went down for like a week with like a hamstring or something like that. So Donovan has been the only healthy one on that team. So, health plays a big part of it.
Yeah, so things are shaping out well. It looks good for the Knicks. They're in that top 2 position. They've won 9 of their last 10, 6 straight. They're only 2.5 games out of first. Do you think that the Knicks could be the number 1 seed going into the playoffs?
I think there's a chance. The big games are going to be, I think we got one more game against the Pistons. I don't know if we played them yet this season. If we did, we got one more game against them probably. So those games will be big, because they're going to cut the lead or extend the lead for either team. And if we, continue how we're playing, if we could just, win these games in bunches, we lose 1 or 2, maybe 3 straight. It's not the end of the world, if we keep having these 4 or 5 game win streaks.
Very true. Very true. All right, looking over at the Western Conference, we mentioned, the Oklahoma City Thunder took their second loss, but they are on pace with the 73-9 Golden State Warriors right now. Do you think that this team is going to win 70 this year?
Yes.
I lean toward. I said yes at the beginning of the season. I'm still saying yes right now.
I'm saying yes, but I'm also saying yes because if I'm not mistaken, the semifinals and the finals games of those cups don't count, like towards records or stats for the player.
It does. They're 24-2 right now. Only the finals really? doesn't count.
Okay.
That's why I was making the joke that it would be hilarious if the Thunder beat the Spurs and then lost in the finals of the cup, because then they would still be 24-1.
That would be sick. But even with the second loss, I mean, the team's still like the best. They're still the best team in the league, so they got a shot at 70 at least.
So, seeing that the Spurs beat them, who would you say is the top 3? I'll say 4 top 4 teams that can legitimately give the Thunder some trouble in the playoffs. It could be from the Eastern Conference or Western Conference. I would go number 1, the Nuggets. Number 2, the Rockets. Number 3, the Spurs. And number 4, the Lakers. Even though I'm not that confident after that last game, but I would say the Lakers at number 4.
I would put the Spurs number 1 right now, just for the fact that they're the ones they beat them, and they looking at the Spurs and how they've been playing this year, I mean, they're only going to get better. They're so young. They remind me almost of that, not exactly, but like almost that same vibe as the OKC team, right? From like 2 years ago, where they got the stars. They're just kind of like building the core and stuff like that. They're gaining the experience and all that. So I'd put the Spurs 1. I'd put the Knicks 2, just because we just won the cup. We beat the Spurs. I think we can compete with the Thunder. I don't know if we can dominate. We're definitely not going to dominate them. I don't know if we can. No domination on the Knicks over the Thunder, but I think we can compete with them. So I'll put the Knicks at number 2. Just we got the cup win. We're looking good. I'm going to put the Lakers at 3 just because they have enough firepower. They're playing. They got Luka, LeBron, AR-15s going crazy. They're a pretty solid defensive team. I think they got a shot. And then you got to go with the Nuggets at 4, just because they're always going to be a well-rounded team, and they're always kind of scary in the playoffs, especially if one of their secondary or third guys get hot. So those are the 4 teams I'll go with.
I just said the Nuggets number 1. I think it's crazy not to put the Nuggets number 1, because the Nuggets did a 7-game series with the Oklahoma City Thunder where it was quite obvious the best player on the court was Jokic. So I think that if they have another 7-game series, Jokic will be the best player on the court again. So I think they have the best chance. There's a reason why I didn't mention any Eastern Conference teams. I don't think any Eastern Conference teams is even taking the Thunder 6 games. Even the Knicks. I like the Knicks. I think they're great offensively, but a great offensive team usually gets beat by a great defensive team. And it was quite obvious. It was obvious to the biggest Knicks fans that I know last year. Knicks fans were like, yeah, we want to make it to the NBA Finals. No one was saying we're going to win an NBA championship. Everybody was like, we're just going to go to the NBA Finals and lose. Like, it wouldn't have been a 7-game series with the Knicks versus Thunder.
I would have took that. I would have took it, honestly. I knew if we would have made it that far, that's what it been. As long as we didn't get swept, like give us 1 game in the Garden, like I'm fine with that. See you next year.
I'll give y'all 1 game, but the Nuggets is the team that I could see them pushing to 7 and potentially beating them. Spurs, you're right. Spurs is definitely, that's why I put the Spurs at like number 2, because you got to respect what they were able to do. Rockets have the firepower as well as the perimeter defenders. They got Amen, they got KD, they got Jabari Smith, they got the shooting as well, and they can run with the Thunder. So that's why I put them there. And the Lakers is for the Luka factor, because we have seen Luka before beat the Thunder in a playoff series. I don't know if this is the same team that Luka had for Dallas Mavericks though, so that's why I kept them at number 4.
Yeah, I mean the Rockets are understandable. I just have a extreme KD bias.
Fair. But we got to go back to the Eastern Conference, because we had some big news that went down I think it was just last week. Giannis Antetokounmpo has finally requested a trade. He is finally looking to leave the Milwaukee Bucks. It seems that he's finally just been fed up. It comes off the heels of their loss to the Washington Wizards, where it wasn't even like the Bucks were on this long losing streak and he just got fed up. He said, no, we lost to a team that the Shanghai Sharks can beat. So I'm fucking calling for a trade request. So
the best player, CJ McCollum. Come on.
He said, we can't win that. He said, fuck you guys. I'm going home. So he requests a trade, and we've seen a bunch of big name teams that have become like favorites to potentially get Giannis. Of course, the Knicks is always in the mix. It doesn't matter what superstar and what generation it is. Knicks fans and Knicks media and New York City outlets are going to assume that the best place for him to go is New York. But Giannis has also put up his kind of affection towards New York, and the fact that it was revealed that there was a trade talks in line last year with the Knicks and the Bucks to bring Giannis to the New York Knicks, and that Giannis was okay with going to the New York Knicks and put that at the top of his list. Then there's also kind of other names like Miami Heat, who in the past have also been involved in Giannis' potential mock trades in the past. There's the Atlanta Hawks, who have a bunch of draft capital that they can give up. But to me, I think the best option and the only option to stop a fucking four-peat by the Oklahoma City Thunder is Giannis to the Spurs. Giannis to the Spurs seems like the best one, the best possible option. Where I'm like, Giannis goes to the Spurs, he's definitely going to probably win a championship. Any other place, there's a better chance they'll win a championship, but I don't think it's like that much of a lock like Giannis being paired up with Victor Wembanyama. But what do you think about Giannis requesting the trade and at the point in which he did that, and where do you think is his best options to go?
I mean, I kind of feel for Giannis, right? I mean, the team has not looked good, and then losing to the Wizards is tough. It's tough. All terrible timing because then the next game he strains his calf and now he's out for a few weeks, right? The Spurs is probably the best destination for him, right? As much as I would love to see the Greek Freak in a New York Knicks uniform, I think it'll cost too much. The only way I would see them being able to flip to get Giannis would to give him Cat, maybe like Miles, and whatever draft capital we have, which isn't much. It's a bunch
and
of
OG.
swaps.
You're gonna have to give up OG too.
That's the thing, though. You can't break this up. You can't give him any of the Villanova boys, right? Straight out of love for Jalen Brunson, you can't give him Bridges or Hart. You can't give up your best defensive player. I don't care if you're getting Giannis back. You can't give up your best defensive player. Like the stats show, like the Knicks win 70% of the time when OG is in the fucking lineup. Like OG is that important to the team. You can't give up Mitch unless you want to lose 6 to 7 offensive rebounds and fucking 15-second chance points a game. Like, I don't want to give up Kolek. He just he's getting better every game. I don't want to give up none of these young guys. So unless you're giving up like 2 guys and whatever draft capital, if you're a New York Knicks, don't even fucking touch them, right? Let Giannis go to the Spurs. They can give up like Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sochan, maybe like, the whatever first round picks they got, which they probably got all their draft picks. They got like
they're also gonna have to give up like Keldon Johnson and Harrison Barnes for the money.
Yeah. That I knew I was missing somebody, but Keldon Johnson was the guy I was missing, right? Harrison Barnes, you could, Keldon Johnson's good, but he's a guy that you can get rid of him. You got Dylan Harper still coming up. It's only his rookie season. You got Stephon Castle, who's kid's a beast.
That's the big thing, because I know when the Giannis talks first started, people were like, "Oh, they're gonna have to give up either Castle or Harper." And at this point, I'm trying everything in my power to give up everybody but those two.
Yeah,
those two with Wemby and Giannis. That's the core that you need to compete with the Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to give up Harper. I think if they had to give up one of them, I think they should give up Harper. Stephon Castle. I mean, the kid looks like he's gonna be the real deal, right? You put Giannis on that team, man, with that system with Wemby, it's just like that's it. That's what the Spurs are missing, right? They're one piece away. That's the piece right there.
That's why I'm like, this might be the only way that we stop this Thunder dynasty.
Conglomerate.
Yes, it's a conglomerate because they fucking have the potential to get the #1 draft pick, because the Clippers are 6-20 right now and they own their draft pick.
Man, the Clippers just fucking everybody nowadays.
Speaking of which, brings us to our third topic.
Perfect segue.
Third topic of the show: Chris Paul. Chris Paul's run with the Los Angeles Clippers, or his second go around with the Los Angeles Clippers, is already over. We are only about 25 games into the season, and he has been basically let go and sent home from the Los Angeles Clippers in one of the strangest situations I think we've seen in quite a long time. It happened on December 3rd, 2025. Chris Paul was sent home mid-season during a road trip, a shocking move ending his storybook return to the franchise, where he is considered probably the GOAT of the entire franchise, as he was expected to retire at the season's end The decision, stemming from the team's poor performance and internal issues, was made by Clippers president and former Nets head coach Lawrence Frank, who cited the team's struggles and not Paul as the reason, though Paul was reportedly blindsided by the sudden departure. This move, intended to shake things up, puts Paul's potential farewell tour in jeopardy, and he weighs his next steps in his career. It was then reported that Chris Paul had been very critical about the Clippers' play over the last couple of weeks and where they're at with the franchise. Like I said, now at 6-20, and it had gotten to the point that it had basically eroded Chris Paul's relationship with Tyronn Lue, to the point that Chris Paul wanted to meet with Tyronn Lue after like having some disagreements and miscommunication, and Tyronn Lue refused to talk to him. This is probably one of the biggest black eyes on the entire Clippers organization, but most of all, Tyronn Lue. I feel like this is like the first dark cloud that he's had over him since becoming the head coach. I think that he's lived off of the goodwill of bringing a championship to the Cleveland Cavaliers for years. So some of his kind of shortcomings as a head coach, as he's been with the Los Angeles Clippers over the last 5-6 seasons, we've kind of ignored that because we're like, oh, he's still a good head coach. He's doing everybody was praising him for the performance of the Clippers last year, with Kawhi kind of going in and out, injured, and Paul George out for the whole season, and he was able to get that team to the playoffs. They gave him a whole bunch of credit, whole bunch of praise for that, and this is the first time that there's anything negative about Tyronn Lue, and it's with one of probably the most beloved players in the organization among players. So it's quite the situation. What was your reaction to the Clippers releasing and letting go Chris Paul?
It's fucked up because CP3 put the post out at like 1:55 a.m. or something like that. Like they literally clipped him like at midnight on the road. Like they were like, find your way back home, kid. Like, like they just left him out in the dust, kind of like that's even. I think CP3 deserves, you can have your feelings about CP3, but I think he deserves more respect than that, especially from that franchise. Cause he, like you said, he's their potential GOAT is CP3. I tend to lean more on CP3 side of things for this, simply because I've never really trusted Lawrence Frank in any capacity. From the Nets days to be an assistant coach on, I think, Jason Kidd's staff or Steve Nash's staff or whoever, where they had a falling out. I thought when the Clippers made him like president of basketball operations, I was kind of confuzzled, like, why Lawrence Frank?
Remember, he started off as the assistant coach for Doc Rivers on the Clippers, and then he got to jump Doc Rivers and become the team president.
Which is, I mean, come on. That's saying something right there. Snakes in the grass. You can't see him. You never know. But I think CP3 deserved better. I hope he lands with like a young fringe playoff team where he can kind of help mentor the next generation of guards and contribute on the court as much as he can, because it doesn't look like he could do much nowadays, but you give him 7-8 minutes a game and just let him be a secondary coach out there. That could be a thing with Tyronn Lue too. Now, maybe Tyronn Lue is headstrong as a coach, and a guy like CP3 is essentially a secondary head coach on any team. And most coaches, value that and welcome that because he's an extra brain, probably one of the smartest point guards in history. So why wouldn't you pick his brain about shit like this? So kind of shows like where Tyronn Lue's at his point of coaching career. Definitely not succeeding in the long term with that team that they tried to put together 5-6 years ago, but now being defeated in the at the moment in the present, where now it's raising a lot of questions and concerns around his coaching style and stuff. So it's tough. It's a tough situation for everybody involved. Prayers to the franchise, to this Clippers franchise.
Yeah, I'm hoping Chris Paul can find a team. I mean, I wouldn't mind him. We mentioned them earlier. What if Chris Paul went to the Celtics?
They're a team that could kind of use another guard, right? And
yeah,
they got young guards that, you know, he would be perfect for a guy like Anthony Simons, right? Who could he's so talented, but he just needs something else to elevate his game. So that would be a great fit for CP3.
But I'm definitely with you. This is just it's embarrassing that the Clippers is even an organization. They're the most embarrassing organization in all of sports at this point with their treatment of one of their all-time greats and sending him home and the lack of communication and how they handled that whole situation is just so piss poor. And to combine on top of that, their awful play on the court. And man, I'm sorry to all of y'all that really believed the Clippers getting a team that would have worked great in 2K17 and thought that that was going to work in 2025. Tried telling everybody, I was like, the Clippers ain't shit. I told them at the beginning of the season, I told them like 10 games in, and I'm telling y'all now, they've never been shit. They will never be shit. They are the red-headed stepchilds of Los Angeles. No one in Los Angeles is shooting in the gym for the Los Angeles Clippers at this point. Enjoy the lottery, you dumbasses.
They can't even enjoy that. Their pick goes to the Thunder.
Exactly. No, they're going to enjoy the lottery like the rest of us. They'll be watching.
Yeah, exactly. Saying, damn, that could have been us.
We really wanted Cam Boozer. Damn it. What are we going to do now? What do you think the Clippers are going to do? Do you think they should trade Kawhi Leonard?
They should blow it up and try to get as much value for everybody as they can. I mean, Kawhi is a little tough because his contract's a lot and his value is like iffy. You don't know if he's going to be healthy. When he's on the court, he's still pretty solid, but it's just, you know, there's a lot of question marks still. They got a better chance trading James Harden and getting something back for him. Probably still pull a first-round pick for Harden from some team that needs him. Again, one of those fringe playoff teams that needs a playmaker, that needs, you know, somebody to come in and put some buckets. Go after James Harden.
Yeah, you're probably right there, but we'll keep y'all posted on what's going on with the Clippers, what's going on in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference, and any news or notes that we got to get into. Is there anything else any other news that we should talk about, Chris?
I think that's really about it. We're just kind of coming off the heels of the Cup, and now it's just getting into that middle of the season. We got about 2 more months before the All-Star break, so let's see what.
I will say this is like the most exciting start to the season in a long time. I usually don't get excited about an NBA season until Christmas Day, but I'm actually excited, and it's 8 days before Christmas.
I was, you know, it's weird, right? Because last year the Knicks made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, so it's like it's hard to get excited for the regular season because now, you know, we've been in the playoffs three years in a row, so it's like, oh man, just can't wait. You know, hopefully we're healthy and just can't wait to get to the playoffs. But it hasn't been like that. Like every game has been fun to watch. I've went to a game live this year. I haven't been to a game in like 2 or 3 years, so it was great.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I went to a game last year, but it was in Barclays. But I haven't been to MSG in a few years, so it was like great to be at the Mecca and experience an actual like real Knicks game. And then the NBA Cup, you know, win just solidifies, you know, how exciting of a season it could be for us. So let's ride this momentum. Let's see where it takes us.
All right, so the last episode, THHC number 17. We closed out the show talking about our top 10 best players in the NBA right now. If you want the separate video of that, it will probably be dropping later this week. But this time, I got something new that I didn't discuss with you beforehand. But I was like, we need to end off the thing with another list or something that we can talk to the people about. So I want you to come up with your Mount Rushmore for the New York Knicks. And I am going to tell you who the Mount Rushmore is for the Los Angeles Lakers. Because this is going to be basically a setup, a cliffhanger note that we'll close off this episode with, because probably THC 20 will be doing our Mount Rushmores of every NBA team, all 30 teams. But we'll start off with these two, so we only got to do 28 when we do the rest of them. So for the Los Angeles Lakers, the Mount Rushmore is simple. It's probably, as soon as I say who's your Mount Rushmore of the Los Angeles Lakers, you can probably think of the people that I'm going to name, but there is one that you probably won't think of. So Kobe, of course, Magic Johnson, of course, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, it would be third for me, and a lot of people will say, Shaq at number 4, or if you're a newer fan and because he's been here for 8 years, you'll say LeBron James. And LeBron James is probably one of the best players that's ever played in a Lakers jersey. But for me, the fourth face on that Mount Rushmore has to be Jerry West. Jerry West brought a championship to us. Jerry West brought a championship to us. He is a logo, but most of all, Jerry West belongs on the Mount Rushmore for what he did after his career. Becoming a head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers, basically passing the torch then to Pat Riley, who became one of the greatest coaches in franchise history, then becoming an executive and putting together the dynasty with Shaq and Kobe, with putting together, getting the Paul Gasol trade through. Like, yeah, he deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore of the Los Angeles Lakers. So that is my Mount Rushmore. It is Kobe, it is Magic, it is Kareem, and it is the logo, Jerry West.
It's a good one. Can't argue with that. The logo, that fourth spot is always tricky, which is why it's going to be tricky for this New York Knicks team. I think the first two guys you got to put up there off the rip, right? If you're a Knicks fan, is Clyde Frazier and Willis Reed, right? Those are the two guys that brought us to championships, our only 2 championships. The Cat coming out the tunnel, fucking game 7, torn ACL, banging out with Wilt. And getting that chip, I mean, it doesn't get more iconic than that. And Clyde Frazier is one of the greatest defensive point guards in history. So you got to put those two guys up there. Third, shit, it's tough, man. Because you know what? Third, I'm just gonna solidify him right now. Third is Jalen. Jesus Christ.
You're wildin'. You're wildin'. The fact that you had those words come out your mouth. Third? You couldn't even mention him at the end?
I was thinking about it, but he's the one I'm sure of. He's the one I'm sure of, right?
Just go ahead. I'll let you
the
finish.
one I'm sure of, right?
Go ahead.
Because the fourth spot is hard, man. Like, this fourth spot is hard because as much as I love Carmelo Anthony, and I would love to put him in that fourth spot, right? He didn't win that much with us, right? As opposed to Pat Ewing, who gave us one of the greatest runs as a Knick in all time. So that's my 4.
You could change Pat Ewing. Yeah, how did you not put Pat Ewing at third? And then you could have did the debate. You could have done the whole debate in your head about Carmelo versus Jalen Brunson. But to me, I think Carmelo has the spot until Jalen Brunson can take y'all way farther than Melo did. Not just one round farther, but to the promised land, to the NBA Finals. I don't think Jalen Brunson deserves a spot on the Mount Rushmore quite yet.
He's given us more consistency as well, like as a captain, as a leader. Within his role, like, I don't know. It's just, I feel like we've had Brunson 4 years already. This is our 4th year with Jalen Brunson. Our first 4 years of Melo, like, we were getting bounced out in the first or fucking second round or not even making the playoffs. Like, you know what I mean? But every year that Brunson's been with us, we've gotten further and advanced further and gotten better. And, you know, a lot of that could be the team you build around them and stuff like that. But it's all about one of the greatest scorers of all time in Carmelo Anthony. To not be able to build a team around him that could fucking propel you to the next level of elite status in the NBA says a lot about Melo's playing style at the time and how you build a team around him. So I would think I'd say Jalen Brunson's more valuable as a Knick, you know, for the first 4 years. I'm just comparing. I can't even compare like a total, you know, Melo was with us for fucking 7, 8 years. Like, you can't even compare it in totality yet. But in those first 4 years, we've seen a more level of consistency, a better level of consistency, and honestly, more hope that we've seen in a very long time through Jalen Brunson. So I'm sticking with Brunson. Now, if you want to change that third and fourth spot and put Pat third, I have no qualms with that because I love Pat Ewing. Jalen Brunson.
Now. what Chris said is technically right, but I'm going to teach people something. You have to understand context when it comes to the NBA, because he just said, we didn't make it that far with the New York Knicks. Now tell me what teams Jalen Brunson has beaten over these last couple of years that are the big three Boston Celtics, who they lost in the first season with Melo. What team is better than that? I wouldn't. I mean, there maybe Boston, the current Boston Celtics, but that's about it. And definitely that current Boston Celtics is not better than the second season when they lost to the LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh Miami Heat. And then the third season where they beat the Celtics, and then they lost to one of the best defensive teams of the modern era, which was the Paul George Pacers. Like, I would say those first,
That
especially
fucking
those
team
first
is
two
overrated,
seasons,
but whatever.
But the big three Boston Celtics and the big three Miami
I agree.
Heat are better than every other team that Jalen Brunson has beaten in the playoffs. So I think context is key, and I would still put Melo above him because Melo felt so New York. He's a New York-born guy. He's from Brooklyn. He basically forced his way to be on the Knicks. Like, that is something big. Like, I understand Jalen Brunson.
He made the team fucking worse when he did it.
Well,
you know what I mean? Which is a separate
maybe they should have waited. Maybe they should have waited.
No, they should have waited. They should have pulled the trigger in the beginning of the fucking season, like they, But James Dolan wanted to wait. Let's see. Whatever. Fuck him.
Mellow hate out here, but we
love Melo.
We came to the end of another edition of Tru Heel Heat Check. Had a good time as always, talking some hoops with Chris G. Chris G, let the people know where they can follow you.
You can follow me at THCG right there on the screen. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram. And then you can see me on Tru Heel Heat Wrestling on the YouTube channel. And then here on the Tru Heel Heat Sports and Entertainment YouTube channel, my good brother SP3. And yeah.
There we have it. Yes, check out all the great content we got here on the channel right now, like the last episode of THC from last month, THHC number 17, where we talked about who had the better legacy between LeBron and Steph Curry. And we also give you our top 10 best NBA players right now in the league. Check out our Power Book 4 for season 3 reviews with me and Chrissy Love. We did one on episode 5, The Last Dance, as well as Asset Forger from episode 6 of season 3 as well. And of course, we'll be back next week with episode 7 review. Me and Chris G will be back where we'll be doing our big podcast for the end of the year, where we're giving you the top 10 greatest players in NBA. No, you know what? I think we might make it even bigger. So be prepared, Chris G. We're going to give them the top 20 greatest players in NBA history. We got to do one step further than all the other basketball podcasts. So top 20 greatest players of all time for the next episodes of THC to close out 2025. So join us for that. For Chris G, it is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. This has been Tru Heel Heat Check number 18 for the Knicks win the cup. We are signing off until next time.
We are the New York Knicks. We are the New York Knicks. Hey.